What's going on, and welcome back. So today I wanted to cover a little bit on the daily driver. Now, this subject I've had quite a few questions on, and it is the radio and my climate controls. I've actually installed a double din radio and moved the climate controls down to the bottom. So I wanted to cover that. I've had, like I said, a ton of questions, so I want to take a look at it. First, I'm going to show a little bit of video inside the car as it is right now, and then go over some pictures of my install and kind of how I did it, and let you guys know, since a lot of you are curious. So let's check out the car and see what it looks like right now. So hopefully it's not too dark in here. Oh, let's get in here. So right now, see if I can get this low enough. That's what we're looking like. Let's get the shifter out of the way. So right now, as you can see, there's the double din. The climate controls are below it, and I'm using, I believe it's 91 to 93. I think they changed it in either 90 or 91. Might be 90, but I'm using those climate controls. They are smaller, a little bit different design as far as the piece itself, and it seemed to fit better. There was some kind of issue, and I don't remember, I wish I did, why I didn't go with the stock controls. Maybe because it was bigger, I'm not sure. But anyway, and as you can see on here, I just got it screwed in here on each side, top and bottom. So 2 screws on each side. And then the stereo itself, got the brackets here, and I reused, I call them like a J-nut. I think it might be like a J-nut, which is these up here. You can see those. But I've reused those and the screws, so it's only held in by a screw on each side, but on the side of the unit itself, there's a couple screws, and you know, I can adjust this how I want it. I haven't made a cover plate for it yet. That's coming at some point in the future. I just haven't gotten around to it, but this works really well. I do like it like this. It brings the stereo up, especially with a touchscreen. I think most of your double dins now are touchscreen and navigation and stuff like that, which this one has navigation. So it actually makes the accessibility so much better, you know, especially when you're dealing with a shifter. Now this is an auto, but I still have room. I can touch the screen. If it was down here, that would be a major pain. But anyway, we'll go over some of the pictures of the install, and you'll be able to see how I did it and what I had to modify, which really wasn't a whole lot. Honestly, it wasn't too bad. You could do this in just a couple hours probably if you had all the tools available and ready to go, all the controls and stuff like that. You could probably do it in a couple hours, but it's not too bad. But anyway, we'll get to some pictures, and I'll try to do a voiceover and go over each picture so you can get a better idea of how I did it, and if you want to do it, how you would need to do it. So stick with me. Here we go. All right, so let's go over the pictures of the actual install. First, we'll start with this one here. And what we're looking at is everything has been taken out. The old trim panel, radio, and climate controls, which your climate controls were up here. And you can see here's some vacuum connections here. You can also see them here, your wiring, etc. Then you have this brace going across here, another brace here, which actually came out to the front area. I've already cut it in this picture from the front and did some trimming on the plastic, which you can see all that debris here, to open it up, open up this area here. Now, like I said, I've already cut this loose. I've bent it down, and in the next picture, you will see that I've cut this one. You see it's cut here and it's cut off here. So that was that piece going across, and then you still have this brace in here, which I'll show you in the next picture. I cut that out. And that's what you see here. So now everything is completely open. There's nothing in the way. You have to do this just because the double din, it's gonna sit right in this area. It may even sit higher depending on how you do it, but that is where it's gonna sit, and those are obviously gonna be in the way, so they have to be cut out. Now I have experienced no issues with the dash or anything structurally, no issues as far as that goes, not even any creaks or rattles or anything like that. So this brace remains, which you can see is attached over here. So I don't think that it's going to affect anything. It hasn't affected anything. I did this, I think, a couple years ago, so everything's been fine as far as that goes. So anyway, these are the clips that I was talking about, J clips or J nuts, whatever you want to call them. These are there from the factory, which bolted the climate controls in, and I think that's why I didn't use the ones originally that were there, because of the bolt pattern, so to speak. But that's what those are. And let's see, then to the wiring. Let me pick a good picture here. Let's look at this one. Now what I started doing here, and you'll see this plug, I extended each plug as far as the wiring goes. This is a plug here, this is a plug here, and this is the third one here. So you can see that I extended them quite a bit. You can see the length of this one, and then you can see how long the new ones are. Now I did that just for ease of being able to pull everything as far out as possible. That way I could, have access behind everything. And this is for your climate controls, as I said before. But your climate controls sit up here, so that short wiring, it would be no problem sitting there, obviously. But when you're dropping it down lower and being able to connect everything while it's out of that area, that's why I extended it to the length I did. That's kind of personal preference. I'm sure you could make it shorter, but that's what I chose to do there. And soldered, shrink wrap all the wiring, so all the connections are good. There's no problems there. There have been no issues. So that's that one. And then let's see what this one is. Now this one shows all three. That red connection that I showed you that was hanging here earlier, it is now extended in here. So that's all three of your electrical connections for the climate controls. You can see the climate control here. And like I said, I think the reason I went with I believe it's 90, they changed it. But anyway, the smaller controls up to 93 is because they have these 4 holes. There's one there, one there, one there, one there, and that's what I use to mount to the plastic with basically some self-tapping screws. Now we'll go to this picture here, and this is where I'm actually making the connections. Now down here you can see the vacuum lines here. That's the connection for that. Now the only vacuum line, I only had to extend one vacuum line. Now exactly which one that is, I don't remember. I couldn't tell you, and I wish I did remember, but unfortunately I don't. Another thing to mention, this is your cable that when you change your temperature setting, which is the middle dial here, this is the cable for that. I didn't have to change anything for that, just had to reroute it to connect here. Now in the 89 controls, they're opposite. So everything is like flip reverse. So that's another reason for extending a lot of this, is because it's, as you saw that red connector, it was hanging down here on the left side because it plugged in over here. Well, on the newer controls, it plugs in on this side. So another reason for extending them. not only to have it to where you can pull this all the way out and get behind it, but because everything switches up. Like this connector looks like it's coming down from the right side. So that's basically the reasons why I had to extend the wiring and one of the vacuum lines. And I want to say it was this one. It looks like there's a black covering here, like a shrink wrap. But like I said, I don't remember exactly which one it was. I've had no issues, again, whatsoever with the climate controls. Everything works great. It's basically plug and play. It's just reversed on these controls as to how they plug into the back of it. And here's another shot of when I finally put the climate controls in. You can see the wiring back there, and it's enough wiring to where it goes far enough back, tucks back to where when you put the double DIN in, you know, those won't interfere with it. They won't stop it from going however far in you want it to go. And this is a shot of everything installed. As you can see, here's my extended wiring right here, and one right here. And this is with the stereo installed. And like I said before, I've only got a screw on each side. Now I could probably, you know, change the bracket up a little bit to where there's enough on the plastic over here to run another screw. I haven't had any issues. The only thing I've noticed is mine has probably slid back into the hole a little bit, just because I drive through construction every single day to and from work. So, you know, vibrations like that might do that. But once I build a plate, I'm thinking of aluminum, you know, and have it pretty close and tight to the unit to where it won't slide back. And then, of course, you know, make sure the screws are tight and all that stuff. And I shouldn't have any issues there. But like I said, I just haven't had time to make up a plate to do that. And we'll look at another shot here. This is with the shifter all the way down. And then another shot with the shifter all the way up in park. And as you can see, you know, as far as the stereo controls go, you can reach over the shifter, touch everything on the screen. There's no problem there. The only thing that you have to do is you'll have to reach around the shifter to adjust the climate controls. But, you know, that's not too big of a deal for me, because once I have them set to where I want them, I usually don't mess with them. About the only thing I'll do is maybe turn the fan speed down, which is right here on the left, which you just reach up and turn. There's no problem getting to that one. You don't have to reach around or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. That kind of works out, at least in my opinion, that the fan speed is there. Just reach forward. It's on the left of that shifter and adjust it to where you want it. Everything works for the stereo, no problems there. And then there's a good shot of your climate controls and the self-tapping screws that I've used. And one more shot from further away, kind of give you a better idea how everything sits and how accessible it is for the driver or even the passenger. So anyway, that is the install. I wish I had video of it. That would have been awesome, but all I've got is pictures. But that's okay. So I'm still able to show you, you know, roughly how I did it. We'll go to the camera now and discuss, you know, what tools you may need and that kind of thing. So that was the basics of the install. I hope that made sense. I hope I didn't leave anything out. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. The tools that you're going to need, I used a small, like one-handed kind of hacksaw. It was just a handle and a blade. It's not the full hacksaw. I just used a small one. I used that to cut the metal with. You're going to want some solder, some shrink wrap, some wire covering. I would suggest that just to keep all the wires neat, some electrical tape, and something to connect the vacuum line. If you have to lengthen one, you'll want some extra vacuum line, which I had some laying around. And then I think how I connected those is basically butted them together in some shrink wrap. You just want it to seal, just so it doesn't lose vacuum. I've had no problems, so I think that should work, and I think that's how I did it. But anyway, I hope all that makes sense. I hope you got something from this video, and I hope it helps somebody out that has been wanting to do this. Like I said, I've gotten a bunch of questions about this since I've done it across several platforms and social media. But anyway, I hope it helps anybody out that wants to do it. So, hope you like this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and we'll see you on the next one.